Would you support staggering school starting times? It's one of a number of suggestions that may be trialled under a radical plan to unclog Australia's congested capital cities. User pays fees like tolls, congestion and heavy vehicle charges could be expanded to fund investments in roads, rail and public transport, along with, as we said, staggering school starting times. Not sure how that would work. Now, Michael Apps is the Executive Director of the Bus Industry Confederation. He joins us now. Good morning, Michael.
G'day, Dicko.
Now, what has your research revealed? What are the specific Sydney problems?
Oh, well, Sydney is not that much different from Melbourne and Brisbane. They're the big three where the most hurt is felt every morning and afternoon in the context of congestion. And I guess, as you've just mentioned, the task force, which is made up of 8 national organisations, has tried to look at a whole range of ideas, policies and possible programs that we'd hope the federal and state governments might look at, one of which includes the whole concept of staggering school start and finish times.
So how would that work?
Oh, that's a good question. It's not an easy one, but we think it's worthy of discussion. I guess what you notice, and I'm sure all of the punters out there on the road notice, is that during school holidays, traffic congestion unclogs, or it's much less worse. About 5% of congestion drops off because school isn't in, and mums and dads not dropping their children off or picking them up aren't on the roads at the same time as everyone's going to work.
So would you sort of pick it, say, suburbs and go to all the schools and say, OK, your school's going to start at 7, yours at 7:15, yours at 8 o'clock, yours at 9 o'clock? Is that how you'd sort of work it out?
Oh, I think that was part of the discussion that the task force had. We actually do think it's a very community-based exercise where local schools in the suburb need to get together with parents and try and work out what could work and what might work. Obviously, parents going to work, kids having to get up earlier or start a bit later is always going to have its own challenges, but we certainly think it's worth getting the communities together and the schools together and actually seeing what's possible, because I guess the task force was looking at how do we actually address the challenges in our cities moving forward to 2030, and one of the big challenges is obviously being trapped in your car every morning and every afternoon having to listen to Alan Jones.
Oh, we love you, mate. Now, I guess as a parent, Michael, I'm thinking, and someone who works in the city, I'm immediately thinking, how would I feel? 3 kids, 2 different start times means 2 different school runs in a morning. And then I'm thinking, as a commuter, does that mean that we have a school zone working for like 3 hours of the rush hour?
Dicko, as I said, I don't think it's not an easy idea to actually get your head around, and we just think that there needs to be a lot of discussion about how it might work. I certainly understand if you have three kids of 3 different ages and they're all starting school at different times, it's not going to be easy. I guess part of it is also actually how do we look at trying to get more kids walking and catching school buses to school rather than being dropped off by their parents. I mean, things have changed over the last 20, 30 years in how we get to school. A lot of that's got to do with how parents feel about the security of their children, buses or walking. And that in itself means we may need to look at actually how our communities are planned so that children and parents are more inclined to look at the walking or riding their bike or bus option. So there's a range of challenges that the task force identified. Staggering school hours is one. How we plan our communities and our suburbs so that they're actually safer is another. How we actually fund our infrastructure in the future is a bigger picture item that's in the report. So what we're presenting in the report is the need for some national leadership about how we move people into the future. There's no good having a national freight strategy, for example, at a federal government level, when the federal government articulates no view about how we move people or having a national moving people strategy. And that means how we best use our cars, how we best use public transport, how we best walk and cycle.
So, Michael, does this go to the federal government, or do you hand it to the opposition as well on the off chance they might be in September?
Oh, we're actually talking to all political parties and all political colours. We don't think that the Prime Minister and Tony Abbott were out at Ruby Hill last week for no reason, for example.
Right.
Outer metropolitan suburbs of every capital city have very much the same challenges. And one of the big challenges is transport, where in those suburbs most people are being forced into having 2 or 3 car families because the public transport or walking and cycling options are very limited or they don't exist at all. And so therefore they have no choice, therefore they're forced into the cars, and therefore we have the congestion on our roads.
Well, I hope you get somewhere on this because I am sick of being stuck in traffic. I like that you're thinking big ideas. Thank you very much. That's Michael Apps, the Executive Director of the Bus Industry Confederation.